Hey guys, welcome. We are live. Thanks for joining us. This is the Brofessionals. I'm hosting this week on my YouTube channel. It's a rotating roundtable discussion with some really quality comic book artists and illustrators that are working today. And today we're going to talk about illustrators, not only that we maybe were influenced by, but also ones that we just happen to like or were favorites of ours growing up, or maybe later as we became professionals. So let me introduce the crew that's here so far. A man who definitely needs an introduction, Andy Smith.
There I do. Hi. I'm the bald and the beautiful.
Yeah,
we both are the bald and the beautiful.
Now a guy who really needs no introduction, the co-creator of Bane and many other crazy things. He's got Alien Alamo on Indiegogo right now. Is Andy, you also have First Man in
in demand. You can get it, and books are shipping.
All right, so let's bring in Graham Nolan. There he is. Special guest villain, Graham Nolan.
As the cartoonist.
I wondered what that was behind you. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That was a profile array, one of those wall photos for Facebook that I made one year.
Oh, that's great. And our fourth guy, the other two haven't shown up yet, but hopefully they will be up. T-Bear's rolling in. So, but first, let me introduce the man who has bigger stones than any of us.
Well
gentlemen?
Played, Lefty. Well played.
Oh, that was a good one.
Claims on time, but never is. Ladies and gentlemen, Chrono Mechanics creator, Art T-Bear.
Yes. How you guys doing?
He's on time.
Doing great.
Are we gonna party or what?
Yeah,
I've got my beer.
Rolled in. We got one more.
I've got my beer and I've got my water.
Look at you guys. Awesome.
There you go.
Let me bring in teen sensation, creator of She. Ladies and gentlemen, the new Irishman, Billy Tucci.
Top of the morning to you.
Top of the morning.
Billy Tucci.
Billy
Tucci's in the house. 16% Irish. And I'm the keeper of all Killarney Castle.
There you go.
Good to see you chaps.
Oh, boy.
They're not going to steal your Lucky Charms, are they, Billy?
Oh, they're always after me. Lucky Charms, aren't they, Graham?
If Billy starts referring to you as the Blarney Stone, run.
I've been reconnecting with my Scotch with my Scotch side. I have cousins coming out of the wormwood.
Oh, wait. What does that do, Graham? Do you have to kiss the Blarney Stone, or do you lick it? What do
you got to kiss it?
And
it's difficult from what I understand. My grandparents.
Yeah, you got to bend over backwards and.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
You got to bend over backwards and kiss it.
They got to hold your feet, and you kind of.
Yeah.
Nice.
The stone's like upside down.
Over, but I ain't getting back up.
That's right.
My back.
Well, gentlemen, welcome all. We're going to talk about illustrators today. What I would classify as classic illustrators. Now, I guess that's open to your interpretation or your definition, and it could be guys that or women that influenced you, or just people that you happen to take note of in your career, or maybe just a youngster that you really liked for a certain reason. We're going to just talk about them and maybe their contribution to illustration in society. So without further ado, let's get rolling. And since Andy, the First Man Smith, is right there to my right, no, my left,
Opposite.
my left, on whatever. We'll go first with Andy. Andy, who do you got for us?
I've got, and I just pulled books off my bookshelf, so no screen sharing. I've got Robert McGinnis.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody loves Robert McGinnis.
He sounds like an Irishman.
I discovered him through his book covers, and then from there to the movie posters. And his painting has that realism look, but then once you get up on it, it's just nice brushstrokes. Great Western stuff in here. But the back of this book is about, hopefully you won't get booted for this, the ladies.
Oh, it's all about the ladies, isn't it?
There's a strike.
There's your first one.
Well, they don't care about that as long as you don't talk politics. If you talk politics, you get a strike, but you can show nudity and everything else, and that's
You
fine.
get a streak.
You get
That's
a-
right. So
John Mayer
John got popped for
because of,
a sexy
Bikini
cover.
Girl.
yeah, John Malin got popped for just a sexy pinup by
Yeah.
Kenneth Rocafort.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
Chicken and bikini.
yeah.
Well, I guess maybe that's considered sexist. So maybe that was a strike.
Could be. So I mean, that's one. I didn't know.
Well, hang on a second. I think it's interesting, and I see what you guys. I mean, I'm sure you guys are all aware of McGinnis's paperback work.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Mhm.
Of course.
Work. But don't you think that? And the guy's like 90 something, right now. I mean,
Yeah, I think he's still around.
painting, but his Western stuff, his fine art stuff, is like next level. I think it is like way better than his paperback stuff.
Oh yeah.
Which
And
is
this book breaks it all down. Let's see. This stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's
You know.
a great piece of John Wayne. Isn't that on the cover? Isn't that John Wayne holding up the doll from The Searchers?
Yeah.
God, what a great piece that is.
Yeah,
It's tremendous.
it's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, his technique and just like I said, it's gorgeous. I mean, the amount of work this guy's done is just insane.
Well, the fact that he's still doing it at his age is remarkable, and he is.
This
Yeah.
is what you were talking about, Lefty.
Yeah, that's just a great.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
It's just a great piece. And
Is that the
you'll know-
same book, Dan?
Totally different book. In fact, it's my cheat sheet book. The great.
Oh, that's a good
American
one.
Oh, that's a
Illustrator.
great one. Yeah, I got that
It's
one
my
too.
cheat sheet.
Andy, what book do you have?
Oh, it's just I'll do it so you can see the title.
Oh, the McGinnis book. Okay. Oh,
Nobody wants to see you, Aaron. There it goes. Just
Trying to
Robert E.
pull you
McGinnis. Another guy, and he's probably okay. I brought it up last week. We brought it up before the show, but I'm going there. J.C. Linedecker.
oh yeah.
gotta go Linedecker.
This is a nice big thick book. This, I'll admit it, I don't care. I had one of those brain farts where I checked it out from the library and just forgot to return it.
Oh, I got a couple of those.
I have a few books on magic from junior high that have very overdue library cards.
That's where this book came from. See, right there.
I got one of those. In an auction at San Diego. Bud Plant donated the copy of that book, and that used to be a really hot book until they started reprinting it and doing more Linedecker books, because that was the Linedecker book. I think it's from like 1974, and they had it up for auction there, and no one bid on it because no one knew what it was. So the opening bid was $100, and I got it for $100,
That's awesome.
and I didn't have to steal it from the library.
There you
Oh,
go.
shut up.
I paid for my copy.
This book's from 1974. Great memory. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
1974. Yeah, no, this book's great. I also have a trading card set of his somewhere. But I mean, just like I said, the way he does brushstrokes,
Such an influence. I mean, he inspired Rockwell.
Yeah.
It's
Rockwell was totally doing Linedecker when young Norman Rockwell came down from, New Rochelle in New York or wherever he was from.
Yep, that's absolutely true.
This one, I love that one. The personality and stuff in that thing, that is just gorgeous.
So we're going to show books. So should I log off real
No,
quick?
it's up to I just pulled books.
Oh.
Now these two are more contemporary. I'll say I've got two more. So Bob Peak. I love Bob
yeah, bro.
He was on the list too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. That's why I got to have this. You got to have this because everyone's grabbing the same
mean,
guys.
I'm glad I got to go first. This was a Kickstarter book, I believe.
Yeah.
Was it
Wasn't it his son who did that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just the drawings. Unfortunately, there's no paintings. I have other books that are compilation type books, kind of like the one you showed, Dan, that
Yeah.
had just a bunch of artists in it. But I mean, like, that we all know who the artist Sergio Topi is.
Yeah.
This is before, look at that. That looks so Topi-esque.
As opposed to Topiary.
Now, see, I dig Bob Peak's movie poster work, man.
Oh yeah.
Star Trek.
Oh, I love his paintings.
I have all of them now.
I mean, is Excalibur one of, if not the greatest movie poster of all time? I mean, it's up
Yeah.
there.
Well, for a while, I'm not torn because I like them both, and this isn't one I have a book on, but I just thought of him as Bernard Fuchs as well.
Yeah, Bernie
Bernie
Fuchs.
Fuchs.
That was on the list too. Those are on the list of
And then
the
the
ones
last
I
one-
wasn't touching.
Is the Drewmeister, Drew Struzan. And I want to give a shout out if you guys haven't seen this DVD, he takes you through the whole process of painting the Hellboy movie poster.
No kidding.
Oh, cool.
Start to finish. It is awesome.
I think I'm friends with him on Facebook. I think I friended him and he accepted my friend request. Unless it's just like
Yeah.
the Bruce Susan page.
I got this signed by him because I met him at a convention a couple of years ago, and I didn't even know about it because I love his process. And this book only shows a little bit of it, but this DVD is literally start to finish of the Hellboy movie poster.
Oh my
So
God.
pretty much Andy's covered everything. So show's over.
So there you go. That's why I'm glad I got to go first.
Oh no, I've got some vintage stuff for you guys.
There you go.
Oh, and I
Amen.
saw,
Same here.
and I'm not going to spoil anything, but when I came on, Aaron was playing with the screen stuff, and I saw it, and I'm like, yeah, that would have been one of mine too. But kind of like Dan said, there's just going to be so much overlap that
I
I'm
have
like,
a list. I have a
Yeah.
list of the ones I wasn't touching because I figured you guys would.
Exactly.
Well, I made up a quick list because I was unprepared, as I mentioned to you behind stage. And
Yeah,
I'll bet you none of you guys have any of the guys I've listed.
maybe.
All right.
Maybe.
There's got to be a drink on this.
I mean,
Yeah.
I might, I just didn't mention them, so you don't know.
Yeah.
And now, how many are we supposed to mention?
Well, 2 to 3, or you can cheat like Andy and steal books from the library and do 4 or whatever.
Oh, I bought, with the amount of books behind me now, I've well paid for books. So.
Yeah.
All right, Graham, give us your shot here. What do you
All
got?
right, I'm going to share my window here, and you can bring that up.
All right.
Okay.
Oh,
The first is Walter Baumhofer.
Oh, I know who that is.
He was one of the premier pulp artists of the 1930s,
yes,
and he's the guy who created the original image of Doc Savage.
that's right.
Oh,
I did
okay.
not know that.
Classic.
Yeah,
Is that supposed to be
It's
Doc
great.
Savage right there?
yeah, that's Doc Savage. That's the Man of
Oh.
Bronze cover.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, wasn't it Bama who developed that sort of Widow's Peak helmet type look? That was
Yeah.
Bama that came up with that, right? Because
Ah.
the publisher
Yeah.
wanted something more sci-fi looking, but before that, this was the look.
He was
Yeah.
a ginger, which makes sense for the man of
Oh,
bronze.
he's bronze hair.
Bronze
Yeah.
hair.
Yeah.
Charles Bronze hair.
All right. So Baumhofer, another awesome
Oh, yeah.
pulp artist.
Oh, Mort.
Wow, I've never seen this guy's stuff. I love it.
Oh, this guy's awesome too. Yeah.
Screenshot. Bam.
The godfather of pulp fiction illustrators. Mort
Right. He
Kunstler.
was the saucy paperback cover guy, right? I mean, geez.
Yeah, he transitioned out of pulps and into book covers and stuff, and his stuff is just amazing.
I like his last name because it's like hustler and another word.
Strike number 2.
That's
That's
straight. Well,
it.
this is America. You get 3.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nicely done.
You got to look at Kunstler, though. I mean, all of his historical work that he's done. The
Yeah.
amazing amount of historical work, all of his Civil War paintings. I mean, he is one of the preeminent historians on the Civil War in the world.
Mhm.
But he's also done World War II. He corrected the that famous painting of Washington crossing the Delaware, and he did the
I know. Harry.
lefty.
I'm
And
just messing around with stuff that I should have figured out before I came on. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Graham.
But he
All right,
redid
the third
Washington
one.
crossing the Delaware, which was more historically accurate, but critics panned it because it wasn't as exciting as. If you ever see it, you could see the difference between them.
So my
cool.
third one is Charles Russell.
Oh yeah,
Great one.
Beautiful.
I loved. Well, first off, he was a cowboy.
Yeah.
He lived it,
Yeah.
and so he painted from life. He sketched Native Americans and the horses and ranching and all that kind of stuff. But his his palette is what I really loved about his work. Like his drawings and his paintings aren't as tight as, say, a Frederick Remington's work, but Russell's stuff really popped with authenticity and color.
Did he do any sculpture work like Remington?
What time period is this cat? Because this is a new one for me.
You didn't know Charles Russell? Seriously?
Late 1800s, I think.
Really? Yeah, no, I haven't heard of him.
Well, if he painted the Old West, yeah, he's definitely a contemporary of Remington.
Yeah, he's a contemporary of Remington's, yeah.
Yeah, that's nice stuff.
So,
Aaron, the only way you can blow up the shot is if you just single screen Grand screen share and take us all out. That's the only way you can blow it up.
Yeah,
right.
Which icon is that down here at the bottom? Is that the last one on the right, the big screen like that?
There it is.
Yep, there it is. You did it.
That didn't do anything.
No, I mean, Graham would have to blow it up on his end to make it bigger.
It's as large as it's going to be, unless I can. Let me see if I can do this.
Yeah, I'm getting yelled at by David Williams in the.
I know David Williams is having a meltdown.
Yeah.
That was nice how you did that. That was pretty cool.
There you go.
Man, I'm innocent. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing, but I know a little bit.
I had David and Kevin Graveau on my show last night.
I got David Monday night. Look at that.
It's pronounced grievous. Believe it or not. No, it is. It is. That's what he told me. Because I was like, dude, how do you pronounce your name? Because I know I'm butchering it. He said grievous.
Really?
Not kidding.
He's
David,
Star
back
Wars.
me
I don't think there's any way.
David, back me up.
Yeah, it's not Graveau.
No, he said that's how you pronounce it, and if you're in France.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You think he's messing with me?
I think he's messing with it. We'll ask David Williams when he's on your show, Andy, because he knows him.
So Graham, do you have, like, out of the three guys you've shown, do you have books of their stuff or no?
Yeah, I have.
You do?
Actually, I have original pulps of Baumhofer stuff.
Oh, cool.
And I have books, and I have paintings on my wall of Charles Russell.
Oh, nice.
The Mort Kunstler book is in my shopping cart. That's where I pulled that one out. I haven't bought that one yet. So I've seen Mort's stuff all over the place in the past, and that's what he came to mind.
That's
well,
cool.
Backtracking a little bit to Leyendecker, I have a ton of Saturday Evening Post Leyendecker covers because I collect those among other one of my many bad habits.
Who painted this one?
That's not Bama. That was I can't remember the guy's name.
It's the only one I own, and I don't think it says inside.
It doesn't.
Yeah, no.
He painted. He also painted the. I think it was Brand of the Werewolf or the Polar Treasure too.
I think it was the Polar Treasure. It wasn't Brand of the Werewolf. I think Brand of the Werewolf was Bama, wasn't it? Maybe. Well, there was two different covers. I think Brand of the Werewolf there was a first printing that had a different cover than Bama came in and did one. I think I got it right over there, but am I actually going to get up and look? Probably not.
No.
But you know the guy who took over for Bama on those Doc Savage covers, Pfeiffer. I really like his stuff too.
His Kingmaker, that cover, the Kingmaker is fantastic.
It's all his style is all just like broad brush and chunky looking. It's just really interesting.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull that one up.
Hey, so David Williams says it's pronounced Grievous.
Grievous.
He should have corrected me.
There you go. See, I thought he said grievous, but I'll take Grievous.
He's a big man, so whatever he says it is.
It is.
Well, it is.
Maybe David's setting us up too, so we'll, end up looking like fools.
Yeah, he'll snap you in two.
All right, here we go. Want me to bring that up?
Hold on, let me just make sure it comes up. Shit, no, that's not good.
Come on, Graham Nolan.
Yeah,
You can do it. We have faith.
I know. Pfeiffer.
Let me get one of you guys, because wait till I go, and I'm going to be like,
Well, that Devil's Genghis is a great one too. That was just up there.
Well, just know, Billy, you're next.
Here we go.
oh, am I? All right, I'll be next.
Are you want me to go ahead?
No, I'll be next. I'm ready.
There it is.
There it is.
Oh,
Oh yeah, that's
I remember
nice.
These are all Pfeiffer covers.
Yeah, those are all
Man.
Pfeiffers. The Devil Genghis is a good one.
Yeah, that's really
but
nice.
but this one here, the
Yeah.
Kingmaker, just I just love that one.
Hey, do you guys have any idea who actually came up with the guy in the chair? You know, because like there's Conan, there's like the Phantom, there's all kinds of like, you know.
I
even
am going to
Batman.
give you that hint, Art. I am going to give you that hint with my first illustrator.
Really?
I'm going to tell you who did.
Oh, cool.
Oh.
I'm guessing it goes back to like King Arthur.
Yeah, well, or a king at least.
Mm-hmm.
My ears are gone.
Did you ship
Mr.
them out?
Lawrence. I'm still waiting to hear back from the guy in Germany.
Oh.
So it's the guy who won is in Germany, and he hasn't written me back. So,
Dude, that was a lot of fun, man. That was a great night.
that was a craziness.
Yeah.
Craziness.
Thank you for allowing us to be on to share it with you. That was so much
Dude,
fun.
there's no allow. I have mad respect, bro.
Bro.
Yeah.
That's why everyone loves you, man.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to play Brady Bunch. I'm going to go right below me to Billy O'Tucci.
Hortabilio Tucci, the Scotsman. All right. So the first one we're going to do. Let me cue it up. Now, I mean, this is tough, you know? I mean, it really is tough to decipher such a thing. Let me just see what it's called here. Okay. All right. Give me a second. Because you want to queue all these things up. Where's my StreamYard now? I got so many tabs open, I can't find my StreamYard. Hang on, I'll find it. Give me a second.
You threw him off, Aaron.
So, yeah, I know. Well, I figured he'd be ready by now, but
Hang on, I'm almost ready. Give me a second.
I can go over to Fragaboom, man, if you're not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go to
I'm ready.
Fragaboom.
I'm ready.
Go to Fragaboom, please.
We're going to Fragaboom.
All
What do you-
right. My first illustrator. Oh, what the heck?
What just happened?
What the heck just happened? There we are.
There it is.
My first illustrator is a guy named J.
Oh,
Allen
yeah.
St. John.
Oh, of course.
Oh, Tarzan.
Oh yeah.
He
Big time.
is one of the biggest influences on Frazetta's work. And you can see it in a lot of his compositions and subject matter. He predates Frazetta by a long shot. He passed away in 1957. Of course, I've got this book from Vanguard. I've got this one on order. I don't know his line art as much as I have known his paintings, but you know, you take a look at something like this. Let me blow that up. See how I did that? Yeah, look at this.
I mean, that is just
David Williams
Frazetta all
love
over
you.
the place.
I know. Well, I
Yeah,
love
you can
David
see
Williams,
it.
but you
I
can.
mean, that is so Frazetta inspired.
Yeah, but this
inspired
predates
Frazetta.
Frazetta by like 30 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's a big one. I ended up changing my other selections because we got in before the stream started. We were talking about illustrators that influenced you, and I was like, not many have influenced me. But then I realized, no, actually, there are a couple, and one that was major for me. Hopefully, I can pull this down. And he's major for everyone else is Andrew Loomis.
Oh yeah.
Andrew Loomis.
You know,
yeah.
I thought of him, but I guarantee most people just think of him as the how-to book guy.
No,
But,
man.
I mean, that was a side hustle.
that
He
was
was a
his side
freaking
hustle.
awesome illustrator.
He
Yeah, he
was
was so
dropping jewels on people. Influenced a lot of our favorite creators like Steve Root and Alex Ross. And of course, you know, the how-tos are there. But Loomis is an institution.
Mhm.
I always thought that his women, there was something about them that had that timeless Hollywood starlet quality. And I remember as a kid, the first time I'd ever seen his stuff was in my grandpa's studio. And I was fortunate enough to inherit. I have first printings of the entire line, Figure Drawing for All It's Worth, The Creative, Fun with a Pencil, all those. And, you know, they're available online free. I recommend going out and getting the books, though.
Yeah, I gotta get those books.
Yeah, but he's fantastic. And then, and are you guys able to see? No, you're not seeing what I'm scrolling through. Hold on a second.
We're still seeing Alan St. John.
Yeah, you know what? I opened a new tab. That's what happened. So here we go. Andrew Loomis.
There we go.
For those who haven't seen his stuff before.
Look at this one right in the middle here. That beauty right there.
Which one?
The blonde with the
This
black.
one?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Look at that. That's just
Yeah,
beautiful.
I mean
Golly.
that's she's glowing.
Look at that.
And you could see the technique. You know,
I know
Mr.
you look
Williams.
brush
You're gonna be,
strokes.
yeah, you
And-
can see the technique in there.
And
I
like
love
you
the
said,
white-
you look at that hair, and you just see. Obviously, he was influenced. You just look at that hair and go, "Oh, Steve Root."
Yeah,
You know,
Mhm.
you just go, "Oh, that's where Steve's getting it from."
You look at
Yeah.
this, it's all shapes, you know, it's
Yeah.
just chiseled on it. And I love the white, how thick that white is. If you look
Mhm.
at it, you could just see
It's
Yeah.
it.
goopy.
yeah, and there's life in these
Glorious.
eyes too.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is that one's tough. And then the last guy I've got, let's see if this will come up. Well, let's see if I had to search. He's a rarity. I know you guys will know him because you guys are a lot more educated than me. But it was an illustrator by the name of Fred Cooper, and Fred Cooper was one of the first guys to do these really hard graphic images that you see in propaganda posters. But this is 1907. He's doing this kind of really strong, striking imagery before this before the Russian guys, before all the propagandists over on the
The
Axis.
Soviets took it over.
Yeah,
They call it Russian constructivism. And
yeah.
look at
Well, he
the
was
red
the guy.
right there on the Fred Cooper with the red. If you scroll down up the Life magazine cover on the upper right.
Yeah, this. Yeah.
Look at that, man. Dang.
That's great.
The
Brilliant.
guy
It's
was
just
super powerful when it came to just striking instant graphics. Like there was no noodling here. It's just straight to the point. He's almost like a Toth predecessor. I doubt Toth was influenced by him, but I could see Toth in there. So those are my three. Of course, my original three. Fred Cooper was the only one in there. I doubt you guys mentioned Kobe Whitmore or William A. Smith. Those were my other two, but Loomis and Cooper. I learned about Cooper from silk screening class because of silk screening is very much about big especially old school hand cut stuff. Was very much about striking graphic images because you wanted a minimum of effort to do a screen, 1, 2, 3 colors, that sort of thing. But that's it. Those are my three.
All right. Well, which of our two remaining gentlemen here are ready to go?
I have a few but if Billy wants to go first, he can.
I'm ready if you want. I can do it. I can cue it.
Let's go.
All right, let's go to the page. For my first, now, I mean, man, I got a huge list, but let me see.
No Sickles. Now talk about a guy who knew weapons.
Oh, you're on my page. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what
You pulled him up.
I was just pulling up some of Sickles.
Oh, wait a minute. I clicked on the wrong one. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Billy, where's you at? Where are you at?
I'm trying to. I got so
Graham,
many.
you'll be proud of me. I just got this Noel Sickles book that's as thick as a phone.
Oh,
book.
no Sickles, yeah, bro. Yeah.
It's so fucking good.
Nice.
It's so good.
His illustrations. Did you ever see the painting of the sailboat going over the wave?
Hang on a second. Okay, go ahead.
What? Did I say
language alert? You dropped an F-bomb on the show, man. I got to give you the language alert.
We need a little curse jar. Little curse jar.
I love that. I love it. I'm ready to go.
All right. There we go.
Maxfield Parrish.
Yeah, I was
Oh my God, right? I mean, I'm going back to college, just to school, and what I love about this, and there's the guy sitting in the chair, and I was just filling in the joke. Of course, he wasn't the first. You've got so many great,
Right.
sculptures from ancient Greece and Egypt. Every pharaoh was on a throne. But what I love about this one is that this is at my wife and I's favorite hotel in New York City, the St. Regis Hotel. It's on 55th Street and 5th Avenue, and we would go there in college all the time. And I actually remember after and inside the St. Regis Hotel is the old King Cole Bar. And I highly recommend it for anyone to go when you're in New York City if you have the means, because it's so choice.
Was this like a mural that he painted?
It's a mural at the back of the bar.
And it's legit his art. It's not
It's a gigantic painting on the
my
wall
God,
of the old King Cole Bar. Now, after September 11th, we actually went to a Jet game And we're wearing sweatpants and jet jerseys and stuff. But my buddy Kenny was a police officer, so it was right after September 11th. I think it was the first home game after September 11th. And so after the Jet game, we were all going to head down because then he was going to be working, and we all wanted to see Ground Zero, of course. So, but first we stopped at the old King Cole bar. I told my friends, you got to go. And we walked in there, and again, the St. Regis Hotel is probably one of the premier, if not the premier hotel in New York City. It's up there with the Plaza and all, but it's kind of a secret place. And walked in that bar, and we were smoking cigars. This is 20 years ago. You could smoke cigars in New York City in bars and stuff. And the funny thing about this painting, that I don't know if you guys know this, but that painting was commissioned by John Jacob Astor, who owned this hotel. And he wanted to paint himself as old King Cole. Now, it's not the full painting. Let me see if I can grab the full painting. I don't know no, it's not the full painting, but what it is that he wanted that John Jacob Astor was such an arrogant bastard, but he was kind of funny too. But Paris drew him as old King Cole, and he's just blown a fart. So if you look, and you
readjusting.
If you got to see, so you see the one minstrel on the left is laughing, right? You know what I mean? And the one on the right is got to. He's turning his head. Ooh, you see the two guards, and if you look, there's a band playing, and the band is walking, and they all stop playing their music because it must have been a hugely large bar. It's one of the great secrets of New York, and the bartender didn't even know this. And let me tell you something. In the 20s, like I would go there with Jimmy, Joe, Casada, a bunch of people would go, and that was a great way to meet women too, is to explain what happened at that bar. And these girls like, no way. I'm like, yeah, and you could see the whole thing, and Astor never knew.
Oh, that's funny. That is funny.
What I loved about Parrish, if you guys know, he painted in glazes. Mm-hmm. So what he did is he would start with an pencil illustration, and then he'd lay down the blues first, I believe, blues. Then he would go to the yellows, which would bring out the greens, and then he would go with the cyans, and he would add the amount of glaze
photographic
to the colors to get the intensity of the colors.
Well, that's the masters. That's the masters approach.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm gonna share another image of his, if that's all right.
Please do. Keep it rolling, man.
And he is just. Let's see, Parrish. Let's see. I got so many damn things open. Here we go.
His use of color was just amazing.
Astonishing.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite, my wife's favorite.
Oh God, yeah. So if you look here, so I'm gonna let me move this over. You can see his technique. So you see with the blues. Okay, I'll scroll down. Hang on. So many windows, so little time. Hang on, let me move this screen over. All right, so now if you could see, I don't know if I can click on it. No, but you see his technique here is that he would start with blues first, and then he would and then he would just build it up, and he would put a varnish over it, and then another glaze of color, and then another varnish over it. It took him a long time. He would build these intricate models, if you ever saw, and he would make reflecting pools and stuff like glass. He would have a mirror, and then he would build a whole like an old mill, an old water mill, and things like that. I mean, he was highbrow to the max, Lefty. Wow. Let me tell you. And again, some of his gorgeous art. Let me click out of that real quick, and then I'll stop screen. I got one more with Parrish, and then I'll get to my other two. But just, talk about an inspiration to me as an art student. When I learned
his subject matter is always very fantasy oriented as well. Yeah.
There we go. Is this one it? Let's see if this is it. Let me just check to see. Is that the one with the J?
Click on Dan Frega's, Aaron.
Nope, that's the same one. Dang it. Hang on, I got another one. Here we go, Parrish. Here we go. All right, great. Let me stop sharing real quick. Now, do you guys Parrish fans?
Yes. My wife loves them. She's got all the books and everything on the on her.
We've got I can't remember the name of the painting, but we've got a print that we were given for our wedding hanging up in our bedroom.
Yeah.
Hey, I just figured this stuff out. Lift that picture again. Dan,
I found my thing. If you guys want to play that.
Well, now you have to wait because Dan finished the picture.
Man, you guys, that was an echo. That was
like yell at me, bro.
Yeah, hold on. It was page 60. No, page 61. This thing is luscious, man. Look at that.
Dude, yes.
Oh
look at
yeah.
that.
Oh yeah.
Look at those colors. Crazy.
And the mountain in the back is so photographic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bananas.
There we go. Okay,
As
now we'll
indeed.
go back to
Yeah. So if you go, here's just a bunch. I mean, here's Daybreak. This one over here. I don't know if it clicks open. Let me see.
Ooh.
The print we have is that girl with her arms above her head. It's the third
Yep,
row down
this
on
one
the
on
left.
the right. Yep. So if you go to that, I mean, just amazing. I mean, just what an inspiration. You look at the Garden of Allah. You look at these amazing paintings. I'm on with a bunch of superstars.
Man, the amount of light this guy is putting out.
That definitely
yeah.
all white. I mean, if you look at this one, it's called Chinese lanterns. It's called this one down here, and I mean, the inspiration to this day, incredible. And then, well, if I can, with one, I'm sorry,
please do.
I'd like to go with Dean Cornwell.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Nice.
Yes.
He was one I was going to bring up. I don't have a book.
I'm sorry. Oh, you figured we all would. I'm like, all right, I didn't get to. No one got Dean Cornwell yet, so that's good. But let me find Dean. Hang on. Where is he?
Yeah, Tom Palmer studied with him.
Did he really?
Wow.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah,
What a
Cornwall had
treasure, man.
he had like an art school in New York City, and Tom studied under him.
Wow.
That's
Here we go.
amazing.
There
Now,
we
you guys
go.
all have that. You guys all have that. Was it the Dean of Illustrators? I think is the name of that book.
Okay.
That big, huge.
Yeah.
I
Oh
don't
yeah.
have it.
Oh yeah.
I know
need
it.
that. I'm
but I
writing
don't
it
have
down.
it.
I'm writing it down. Dean of Illustrators.
Oh yeah. I'm ready, Lefty. If you want to pop it up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's a gorgeous book.
I mean, it's endless.
Yeah. Fuck yes.
I mean, look at this woman right here. Again, if I click on, I don't know if she gets. Did she get big?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, look at this. I mean, for everyone out there, anyone out there who wants to be an illustrator, an artist, a cartoonist, study Dean Cornwell. I mean, he is just. Look at this. I mean, look at the black and white. You know. I mean, look at that. Like a Treasure Island type of thing, you know. But you can see he's a Pyle fan, you know, and a Wyeth fan. But then he also throws some Leyendecker in there, you know. I mean, just look at this. What the hell? Oh my God. It's amazing that that we'd ever want to be illustrators after looking at stuff like this.
Yeah.
Makes me want to turn off my TV and turn off my computers and just do this.
Just do this, man. Now I'm going to tell someone, and now I'm going to be really obvious if that's okay. Let me stop sharing. But for the person I believe is the greatest storyteller, let me just find the page real quick, of the 21st century.
This is for Fraga. This is the book right here.
Oh, okay.
Dean
How thick
Cornwell.
is that?
Yeah, it was offered like last year, right? Wasn't it offered last year, the year before? We all bought it. It was like a crowdfunding or something.
No. This original one here. Now they may have reprinted it, but this was when was this printed? Because I've had this for a while. This was 2000. This was printed in 2000.
Yeah, there was a new book out by him. Okay, I got.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Okay, here we go. Okay, you could share that if you'd like, Lefty. Okay. Norman Rockwell.
Oh
yeah. I mean, the greatest storyteller of the 21st century, and I just think. I mean, we all know the body of work and the vast career. I mean, he started in the 20s and he was painting till he died. I think he died in 76 or something like that. 78 he died.
I thought he started in 1914.
Is that when he started?
That's when I thought. Yeah, those early post covers.
He lived a long life, man. And a lot of these guys, a lot of these illustrators, if they didn't drink themselves to death, they lived real nice long lives. I guess that's the difference between an illustrator and an artist. Is because they had work to do and deadlines, and they just worked, you know. And
they also got paid a lot of money.
What?
They got paid a lot of money,
and they got paid a lot of money. One of my guys I was going to pick was Charles Dana Gibson.
That's on my list.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, just a quick thing for Gibson is that in 1903 he got paid $3,000 to do 100 illustrations for Collier's magazine.
Yeah.
So he
And
made
those are iconic.
$100,000 or something like that in 1903, something crazy like that.
Super iconic.
And they would all summer in New Rochelle and stuff and live the life up there. But I mean, you just look at this painting and you just feel it. This was to raise war bonds. And here's this, this Marine or something on Guadalcanal. Look at him. He's all ripped. He's bandaged, and he's blazing away with that M1917 water-cooled 30 caliber machine gun. He looks more American than that, But I mean, he really captured Americana. I think Norman Rockwell, and we can just go on with so many of his amazing paintings. But he was a humanitarian. He spoke out against racism from the very beginning and all. And he did that one painting off of in Montgomery, Alabama, when the black kids went to school and throwing the tomatoes on it, and this beautiful young black child walking girl in this white dress, and you just see the splatters and graffiti and this horrific words written on the wall, and there's like the Secret Service guys or the FBI guys walking, guiding her, and you don't see their faces, you just see their hands and all.
Oh yeah,
because it's shot at her point of view.
Yep. And the thing is at her level you're at. You know what I mean?
Right.
And this poor kid just wants to go to school, and her parents want her to go to school. And the thing though with Rockwell too is that at the Guggenheim about 15 years ago, they had an exhibit on almost all of his paintings. And it was draining. It was so amazing. But what I went like 3 times. And the last time I went, I really didn't look at the paintings much. What I looked at was the people looking at his paintings, and the joy that they got, or the emotions that carried them over. Looking at a painting like this, look at that painting of that young girl going to school. You know what I mean? That the pain, the just what he captured. And again, I just believe in my heart of hearts that he really is the, Frazetta's up there with him. You could talk Kirby. We could talk comics where, but he didn't have a luxury of 100 panels, 120 panels, to tell a story.
The iconography that came out of that guy, I think about the 4 Freedoms.
Yeah.
I think about the cop at the soda shop talking to the runaway.
Yep.
The little girl looking at herself in the mirror.
Yep.
Like he just captured the crescendo of quiet moments.
Yep. And there's an amazing, is dichotomy the right word, of his painting of a World War I soldier coming back as a hero compared to a World War II soldier coming back as a hero 20 years later. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you guys ever saw that. There's a painting of a doughboy, and he's got his crutches, so he's obviously wounded, and he's like this, and he's telling the kids this, and there's kids around him, you know what I mean? And he's like, and then the Huns came, and and we, blah blah blah, and they're like just looking up in awe. And then when he did the World War II one, it was a Marine coming home, and he's in this garage, and I don't know if you could find that, Lefty, but it's called Homecoming for the Hero or something like that. And he's in this old garage where he worked as a mechanic, and he's just holding in his hands, I think, the Japanese flag that he captured. And he looks just so embarrassed by it. And the men are leaning in, you know what I mean? Some of them, I'm sure, were World War I veterans and all. And there's a little kid, and he's just telling the story, and you see so much expression in his hands and all. And you just see how he grew as an illustrator in those 20 years as this idyllic young guy. Again, if he started in 1914, he did those paintings, the World War I paintings, in 1918, 1919 and all. And
one of the coolest ones he's ever done was the modern art one, because he skewers modern art, and the painting that the character is looking at is every damn bit as good as anything Jackson Pollock did.
Yeah, his Pollock is better than Pollock's.
Yeah, it's a painting in a painting.
There's more life in his Pollock that he was just probably like,
right.
Yeah, Martha, okay, I'll be there. I'll be downstairs in a minute for dinner.
That's a great piece, because you're right. I mean, he basically, like you said, he skewered Pollock with that. And this has always been my feeling about illustrators. And I don't have a great deal of respect for what is considered fine art in today's society, because illustrators are guys that could really draw fine artists are a lot of times are people that can't draw, so they figure out a way to do something.
Yeah.
I guess
Well,
that's thing, but I don't give a rip. And he was the perfect example of that. He was doing fine art better than the fine artist, and the fine artist could never do what he was doing.
That's
otherwise.
right.
I got kicked out of a car for saying what you just said.
You got kicked out of the car?
I did. I was working on this movie called Transporter 2. We were doing reshoots in Paris, France. I had the fortune happenstance. I was there for 4 months. I lived about 15-minute walk to the Louvre this way, 15-minute walk to the Pompidou that way. And I decided I wanted to give a look at Pompidou, which is, their Museum of Modern Art. And they had a lot of Matisse and Picasso and Rothko. And my director friend,
about that stuff. That's not what I'm talking about.
Listen, I'm actually kind of mirroring what you're saying, because my buddy Louis, the director of the movie, nice guy, said, "How did you enjoy the Pompidou?" And I said, "Well, outside of the Picassos, the Matisses, and the Rothkos, I said I thought it was a bunch of shit." And he said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, I don't understand how you can have a 10 by 10 cobalt blue canvas with what looks like a scratch from a key on it and have everybody go, 'It's magnificent.'" And he's like, "Well, you don't understand." And I go, "What do you mean I don't understand?" He goes, "Nobody had done that before. So that was like a first." And I go, "Okay, so some dude down at the Seine River, he's doing watercolors, but decides to fucking splash mustard on it and sell them." I said, does he deserve to be in the Pompidou? He said, "No." I said, "But nobody did that before." And he goes, "You just don't get it." And I said, "Dude, I could go to the Louvre and the Orsay and see masters of craft." And I used the whole, like, they are working with, lighting, composition, materials, creating masterpieces. And he said I was a closed-minded oaf, and stopped the car and told me to walk the rest of the way.
Wow, that's a great story.
Yeah,
That's great.
Close-minded.
A lot of those. I
Closed-minded oaf.
yeah. You closed-minded oaf! Get out of my car! Are you serious? I'm fucking serious. Get out!
Be gone, peasant. Well, I just love that. I had the same experience too at college. I went to FIT in the city for illustration, and we had the fine art majors too, and they were like, "Awful, my God," and as a talent, and they were so arrogant though. They were so arrogant and haughty, and they couldn't draw for shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh
It's
my
their
God."
capacity that prevents them from exploring other ideas and developing their skills. They know they suck, but they don't want to admit they suck because they're so pompous. So they have to create a scenario for themselves in which they can justify their existence.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly what
it's
they
a
do.
boondoggle is what it is. It's a big
Jackson
fine
Pollock
art
spends all
boondoggle.
of his time just coming up with the title of his paintings, right?
Yeah.
That's where all the work is. It's not in throwing the paint. It's just coming up with the title of the painting. This is my autumn in whatever,
Yeah.
Have you guys?
It's all pretense, and that's what they sell it on. It's all pretense and story. That's all it is. Because if you're somebody like Maxfield Parrish, you don't have to say anything. It's like they look at it and they go, "This is a masterpiece."
Yeah.
When you have to explain something, it's like when you have to explain a joke, it's not funny. When you have to explain a painting, it's not good.
Have you guys seen the documentaries by Robert Hughes? He had one really good called The Curse of the Mona Lisa. Another one, it was a series called Shock of the New, where he talks about modern art. He talks about how Pollock rose to fame, and talks about sort of the mindset of the fine art world. Like The Curse of the Mona Lisa was very interesting because before the beginning of the 20th century, the Mona Lisa was just kind of considered another Da Vinci. Then it was stolen, right? And it was missing for several years, and it got a bit of acclaim. But the act of moving the Mona Lisa, when they moved it from France, and this is like 67, 68-ish, they brought it to the United States and gave it a tour. but it had armed guards and all this stuff. And the definition of the context of that painting went from instead of looking at it and going, what a wonderful painting, they would say, oh yeah, I saw the Mona Lisa, like it was a celebrity. And it changed the meaning of the painting itself. The act of physically moving it changed the context of the painting. It was a really interesting documentary. And again, Shock of the New goes into the whole some toilet papier. Toilet papier. But yeah, Robert Hughes, if you guys take a look, Shock of the New and Curse of the Mona Lisa, very interesting. Lets you know about the ins and outs. And guys like Andrew Warhol, they, you know, there's people that guard. It doesn't matter if you have it, you have a picture of him signing it, whatever. Unless the estate says, yes, that's a Warhol, it's not a Warhol. Like, they control it. They also control auctions. They'll bid on their own pieces to make the value go up.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and sell it to themselves. That world is fucked.
Yeah.
Well, did you hear the Jackson Pollock story where this woman, she was going yard sales, and so she saw this horrible painting and she bought it and she thought it would be fun to bring it back to her friend, and her friend's always looking for things to throw darts at. That's like her friend's thing. And so she bought the painting thinking that her friend was going to have a good time. So she buys it. And then for some reason, somebody sees it, and you know, after she purchased it, and she purchased for like $5 or something like that. Yeah. And some guy goes, "That's a Jackson Pollock," and she goes, "Who's that?" Like, she had no idea. They're just going to throw darts at it, right? And so then she gets it authenticated. It is a Jackson Pollock, but it's like what you're saying, Dan. The actual Jackson Pollock, whoever controls the paintings and oversees everything, they would not sign off on it because they found it at a yard sale. The woman bought it at $5, and it would just, the domino effect. You know what I mean?
It's like a diamond.
The value of the other one.
It's the De Beers diamond thing, where they find these huge diamonds and throw them away to manipulate the market.
Right.
Yeah, it's bananas.
Yeah. Diamonds aren't rare.
No. Not at all.
They're just held back. I mean, there's a lot more things that are rare than diamonds.
Yeah,
that's right. Like R.T. Bear and his choices.
Yeah.
What choices? You had a comment.
If I can finish a point about that art, that fine art, and that film, Pollock touched on it. Most of the fine arts, the arts of the 30s, 40s, 50s, whoever became a big superstar, those are the guys who became, and then most of the majority of them were male. They were Peggy Guggenheim's kept men, her boy toys, because she made them stars and she was banging them and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
And she also owned the collection. She owned their art. So she would sell it to her rich friends. They would then, you know, she would make money off of it. They would make money off of it because Guggenheim and these other rich collectors' friends would deem this art.
Right.
Then it became, you know, now some of this art's in the MoMA, in the Museum of Modern Art. And the thing was that then the guys who bought that, they would sell that art because they had gotten in on it early, and it was like a pyramid scheme.
That's what it feels like. Exactly.
As Art said, you had to explain why this is good.
Yeah. It's the story. A lot of that stuff, the lineage, there's a story behind it. You know, it's like for example, I just bought a Jeff Jones, Jeffrey Catherine Jones sketch.
Nice.
It's cool. I can show it to you guys. It's actually right. Well, it was. He
was
right
on
here.
my short list, Dan. So.
Oh, okay. Well,
thanks a lot, Dan.
Not fucking it up. This is it here. It's a man on a horse.
Dude, that should be a cover.
Hang on a second. You should have
cover.
You should have art ink that.
You should have art ink and make it a cover.
This isn't going anywhere but in a frame. But I found out
like Bobby Kennedy ripped that cover off, doesn't
he?
Did.
Dear Jackie, down here. It's a trip.
It's his girthy horse.
But the cool thing is one of my Facebook friends who's an art collector, he used to own this, and I go, oh man, that's fucking cool, you know. And one of the guys I know that it's on the down low, and he'll probably kill me if he ever sees this, but he probably won't see it. But like Robert Kirkman is a huge collector of comic book art, right? Mm-hmm. And I would think that one day if he ever sold something, you would go, oh, this was once part of the Robert Kirkman collection.
Right.
You know, and now it's elevated because of the lineage of it passing through hands. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Well, didn't they do that with Nicolas Cage? Like Nicolas
Oh,
Cage
yeah.
had like a collection, and it was like the
Yeah.
Nicolas
Oh,
Cage
yeah.
collection.
Comics.
His comic collection. He had Action #1.
Yeah, a Nick Cage,
American #1.
Yeah.
Well,
badass.
T. Barrett, it's your turn, man, to jump in here with your selections for tonight.
Okay, I'm not really sure how to go about sharing, but I'm going to do this anyway. So here we go. So can you guys see this?
Yeah. Oh, look
Yeah.
at that.
Oh,
Badass.
Ken Kelly?
Yeah.
Rock
So
on,
this
baby, rock on.
is.
That was a Frazetta student, right?
Yeah, he was his son-in-law.
Son-in-law, yeah.
That's
Ken
right.
Kelly.
That's
Oh,
right.
Ken Kelly
Ellie's-
is his
he's
son-in-law? I didn't know
related
that.
to Ellie somehow.
Yeah, I got to meet him at LA Con, and I tell you, man, I geeked out because Young Art, when this album came out, I flippin' lost my crap, man. I was like, look at those chicks, they're so hot. Look at those guys. and then the colors, and then I experienced Boris Vallejo after that. I was like, Boris is just copying this guy.
Yeah,
You know?
dude, those columns look like Frazetta painted them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But then I roundabout found out about Frank Frazetta, so I kind of experienced that like backwards almost.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, oh my gosh, that's where all this stuff came from. So as an early artist, I was, I kind of aspired to be an illustrator more so than comic books because I wanted to do album covers. That's like, that was my thing, to do album covers. So yeah, Ken Kelly was the guy. And I think Andy was saying Drew Struzan. So Struzan was one of my earlies as well. But and then Leyendecker, I think somebody brought up Leyendecker. But I want to throw out like Mobius. Like people don't think about him as an illustrator, and he can illustrate like nobody's business, man.
Yeah.
So I think like for me, I would throw Mobius, I'd throw Barry Windsor Smith in there. But and I don't know if this actually works as a illustrator, but John Singer Sargent was.
Oh yeah.
Definitely, absolutely.
Yeah. Why wouldn't he?
Absolutely.
Yeah, he was the shit, man. I mean,
He's more of a fine artist, though, but I would count him.
He's more of a fine artist.
but still.
Yeah. But
I saw a collection of his work once.
Yeah, a few years back, I got invited to do a New York show. And so I had my daughter come, and my daughter is a fine art. She just got her degree in fine art. So I was like, you got to come with me. We're going to the Met. And so we went to the Met. It takes days to go through that place, man. Yeah. And so there's this whole section that's just John Singer Sargent. So there's the Teddy Roosevelt painting. There's the Madame X. There's all this stuff. And I was like, I swear to you, I've never been that captivated and just lost in a painting before. And in that room, I couldn't leave. And the paintings are big. Like his paintings are really massive. And so I was just mesmerized at the paintings, the texture. And the thing is, when you see them, you realize like that black dress, how actually simple the painting of it is. Like he just knows exactly where the highlights, where the deep shadows are, and all that stuff. But there's not a lot of detail, man. It's just exactly what's needed to convey the point. And then where he gets into detail is kind of like where he wants you to see, like the face or, like certain areas. And so then everything else kind of plays back. So I was kind of enamored by how loose some of the clothing and some of the the other things were in the paintings. Like, look at the table. It's just kind of
that's the thing I'm focused on, man. I was just gonna say that table.
Mm-hmm.
There's a shallow focus.
There's a table in that painting.
But notice the shallow focus on how sharp the front edge is versus the softness of the far edge.
Oh,
That's like almost a photographic interpretation, like a lens. You know, it's fucking awesome.
Look at how lit she is on her face and in her chest, and then her arms get a little bit more darker, and it's just so you know that you go right to that face and that bust shot there, because that's where the hottest highlights are.
Yeah, and then just the amount of real estate that he's got to cover with those backgrounds. When you see these paintings in real life, you're like, oh my gosh, it would take you weeks just to paint those backgrounds. You know? Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Like I said, I never really geeked out on a painting before, but when I saw, this one was there, like I said, the Theodore Roosevelt painting was there, and it was absolutely stunning and amazing. And then
hold up, those straps, man, holy shit.
Yeah, just enough detail, man. And when you see these things, some of it's just like dabs of paint. You know what I mean? It's not even like he's actually spending a lot of time. He's just kind of like just blopping it in,
all the right place though.
Yeah, that was like that Rockwell paint. If you ever look at Norman Rockwell's, his whites, and I had mentioned it with one of the other paintings earlier on. I forget whose it was.
Loomis.
Yeah, Loomis's. But you look at like Norman Rockwell's whites; they seem to almost be like a 1/4 inch thick at some parts.
Yeah,
like he just glorious.
It's like Howard Pyle. Howard Pyle's work is so luminescent with the light effect he gets. It's the same thing. You get up on it, and the paint is so thick.
Yeah,
it's gorgeous.
The trick is that shadows, of course, are transparent and reflections are opaque. So you get with the heavy highlights, and you can lay that thick paint in there for the highlights, and then the shadowed areas are actually much thinner.
Oh yeah,
but this is
it's like when Frazetta was painting on masonite.
Look at the
black. You have the masonite show through.
Yeah, look at the strokes on the black.
Yeah, that's the part that I was just like, holy shit, man.
Even the table. I mean, just look at the highlight on the front of the table. It's just like this brush stroke that kind of. It's just. Yeah.
It's great.
Frazetta used to use modeling paste too. Did you ever see like the Panther Girl? You know, the one where where she's standing up there and the Panther's by her, she's naked and she's standing there, and then the moss covered tree.
Right. That's what Dan has behind him, isn't it?
That's about, right back there.
Almost a 1/4 inch thick.
It looks like stucco.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. And then he does like oil washes over to use the 3 dimension of it to add shadow and texture.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah,
lift off too. It looks like that table. If you scroll down, like Bernie Fuchs, a lot of that lift off. If you zoom in on that table legs, it looks like it's almost like he lifted off too. He took a little,
turpentine.
By the way, you guys, this was not easy to find. Like most of this stuff, they got a pretty good control over it, so they don't even let you download these images. So I had to search for this.
Well,
amazing,
fine work.
Yep.
Yeah. And then my next one is N.C. Wyeth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His originals are the same with the amount of light he gets. Like Aaron said, it's opaque,
But his Treasure Island stuff was just freaking amazing.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Just the texture of those guys, how they use the paint, you know what I mean? It's not like, like we were talking about Boris earlier, how slick and photographic that is. And this is like, they're just really sort of indulging in the texture of the paint,
Yeah. Look at that guy's face. I mean, it's sort of a blur.
Yeah.
And yet it's your eye fills in the gaps.
Well, it's great because it's not the focus of the painting. So it really gives you that effect of peripheral vision.
Yeah, it's backlit by that hot light behind him.
Yeah.
Right.
Then you got this guy down at the bottom that's so well lit and practically glowing, as with his shirt and everything.
But back on the figure that's in the crow's nest, the guns are what sticks out. Like those are the things he wants you to focus on. He doesn't focus on the guy's face. He wants you to look at the guns. And it's weird because I fought with myself forever. Like there's these tangents with this gun and the line here and this wooden pole. And I'm like, but it still freaking works, man. I don't know how he did it.
Really, I've got a Remington painting that hangs in my living room, my mom had given it to me, so I don't have the heart to throw it out because it absolutely drives me batshit crazy because of the tangent. There's like an Indian up on a mesa, and he's got a gun, and there's like all the way down in the distance in this valley is like you can see these guys on these horses and stuff, and there's like a piece of like mariposa twig or something like that, and the twig is pointing and touching right at the point of his gun. And every time I see it, that's all I look at. It drives me absolutely nuts.
Yeah, it's like, didn't you see that? Like, you spent that much time on it.
Yeah, it just goes to show you, even the greats are human beings, and we all just sort of sometimes make mistakes, or maybe, a lot of this stuff was produced commercially, and maybe there's a deadline issue, and they're like, screw it, I'm turning it in.
Right.
But look at how textural this is. Like, he's just
I gotta
throwing
see if I can find
out.
out.
Like, there's a lot of paint here. Just fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then there's is kind of like the Maxwell Parrish, like these blues, they're just like kicking your ass. Like where does that blue come from? There's like this really bright blue, but then to complement it, you have this red sash on this guy, and so they really balanced each other out. I remember I actually got, I still can't believe this, I got to have lunch with Frank Frazetta when I was working as an illustrator. I was working for Bridge Publication. He was doing covers for Battlefield Earth, believe it or not. The L. Ron Hubbard stuff. And so I asked him, I said, okay, you have these paintings, and then you just have these crazy splashes of color. What's the idea behind that? And he goes, I just want to do something unexpected. You like the spider? Remember when the guy's stabbing the spider?
Oh, yeah.
Green, yeah.
Yeah, it's really bright and it's really green. And I was like, so that he goes, yeah, it's just unexpected. I just want to do like these splashes of color. And whenever I look at NC Wyeth, I think the same thing. I just see these splashes of color. Like it's kind of played down, like a lot of grays, like gray tones, things like that. But then there's these really like amazing pops of color.
Yeah.
Even in the flesh has got colors, greens and yellows and purples, and the skin and things like that. And a lot of these guys that we're looking at.
Yeah.
When someone just paints and all they just have is varying shades of brown and tan,
Yeah, but look at this, is just nuts. I always think, like, how do you figure this out? Like, to me, it looks like it's just haphazard. But when you have somebody on this level, it's not.
Yep.
There's a saying that I read. I don't remember who said it, but they said if you're 3 hours into a painting, it should kill at 50 yards. It should definitely read at 50 yards. And a lot of this stuff, you brought up the deadline thing. Sometimes, there it is. That's, standing back from the painting, maybe 10 feet or whatever. All of that shirt, the pants, everything works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't forget, these guys painted in oil. So what they had to figure that into their deadlines as well, because of the drying time. You couldn't photograph this stuff because it was still wet.
Yeah, so what they did, Graham, is they worked on several paintings at one time. So as a commercial artist, they would have several paintings. So while one's drawing, they're working on the other, and so on and so forth.
I think they also used activators too.
Yeah.
I would imagine so, yeah.
To dry it quicker.
Yeah.
There was some quote that Rockwell had. I can't remember exactly how it went, but it's something that he wasn't sure that his paintings wouldn't explode, 20 years from now because of all the crap that he mixed in there, that he was limiting with them to dry faster and things like that. I can't remember exactly the quote, but that's kind of a paraphrase. That was really funny.
Awesome.
So when did acrylics come around? Because I remember asking one of my professors about acrylic paint. And we were like, what's this going to be like in 20 years? She's like, no one knows.
No one knows.
Hey, Aaron,
is it going to catch fire?
Aaron, can you share my screen?
You can do like with oils is, since it always says wet, a lot of times.
There it is.
They'll mix the paint right on the can.
Right here?
Yeah.
And here.
Yeah, I questioned
on the top of the Indian's head.
The wagon, yeah.
The top of the Indian's head on the rock.
The The
They
first thing I see every time I turn and walk into that room is this right here.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's weird. You just not only that, but the short one next to it that lines right up with the front of the horse. No, the other one.
Dude, the top of his head
That
in the
too.
rock.
But yeah, that's
yeah, right, yeah.
Good God.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really kind of think like
Yeah, right here.
I
top
always
of his
give
head,
those
yeah.
guys the benefit.
Well, thanks, dude. I didn't even notice that one because I was so focused on the other.
The art director at Collier's magazine is like, Freddie, I need this painting in 2 days.
Yeah.
And Freddie said, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and Dan, this is the one I was telling you about.
Sickles.
That's the Sickles one.
Yeah.
that is
Holy
awesome.
God. Oh, that's cool. Look at the energy in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got
I love
a,
the green that's coming out through here through the water. I love that.
Yeah.
Did he do that in oil or no?
I doubt it. It looks like
I want to say I read that it was gouache, but I don't
yeah.
know.
It
I
looks
love
like
the
gouache to me.
splashes, the white against black. I mean, it
Yeah,
really pops. It
Yeah, that's a real.
I think it is gouache
Dynamic.
because I know it was an advertising assignment he had.
Yeah, here's another piece of his.
Oh yeah.
he knew his tech.
Yeah. Look at that.
Yeah.
Mustang.
Well, you
No,
guys,
it's
you
important.
know, when I was doing research for the show,
Oh, yeah.
I had a list of
No,
obvious.
P40.
Yeah, it's P40.
Yeah, because here's the tiger teeth.
Yeah, and you can tell by the oil. It's actually a P40N with that massive oil filter contraption, whatever, all in the bottom of it. Sorry.
Built in
Yeah.
Buffalo.
That's beautiful.
There you
I
go,
wrote a list. I wrote a list of guys, some of which that weren't mentioned. So we don't have to look at their art, but these are mentionables.
Well, Aaron still has to.
I know we started to get
Oh, right,
to
Aaron didn't go. Fuck yeah!
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Jeez,
I hope you.
guys.
picked
Gee
some of these.
whiz. Wow, this is
You're
a tough
just such a
one.
powerful host, man.
I'm hosting the. Hey, I'm just
It's
letting you guys
tough being a
talk.
host.
I'm trying to be gracious, a gracious
You
host.
are very gracious, man.
You are very
overstepped.
We don't
All right,
deserve you. Lefty.
let me jump in here a little bit.
Perpetual
And,
stepper.
I think Lefty's going to go with Frank Frazetta, though.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Vargas.
Yes.
Of course.
Okay, this is my first one. I'll tell you why. When I was a kid, I first discovered Vargas. Now, my mom was a big pinup fan. She loved George Petty, and or I guess they say she loves George Petty because she's still alive. But so I discovered this Vargas book, and the reason I put if you guys don't have this book, you should get it because at the back of the book there is like a 2-page thing where he discusses his technique, and he gets a lot of he's spoken about as an airbrush artist, but he really wasn't. When he started cranking them out, in the 50s and stuff, he used more airbrush. But originally, if you look at his technique in the back of this book, he would take watercolor board, like really heavy, thick board, right? And then he would hose it down so it was wet, so that it would be it would accept the watercolor better, as he put it. And then all this is with brush. And it's laying the brush down, then hitting it with water to make it bleed, and then to create an airbrush effect with a brush, which I just thought was amazing. I tried to do it, as a 14-year-old, and it, had mixed results. But I just thought he was the first, pinup artist, and a guy that I was lucky enough to see this book, and in the back have him discuss his technique, which I thought was really, really cool. Because doing that with a brush is unbelievably hard not to screw it up with watercolor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he far exceeded. I mean, Petty. If you look at Petty's drawings and all, Petty always had, like, his girls had no necks.
They were super stylized, super long legs, and short necks and
big heads.
Yeah,
like aliens.
This was all like airbrush and Prismacolor, wasn't it? Like it was mixed.
No, he did that later. But in his early work, and I don't know this particular piece, but his earlier work was all watercolor with sable brushes, according to what he said in the back of this book when he's discussing his technique, which I thought was just fascinating. So anybody who wants to, this is the book to get, because it does have that him discussing his technique in the back. It's not just the pictures. So so that was one. That was
who's the woman that's contemporary that kind of took over?
Olivia,
yeah. definitely a disciple of Vargas.
Yeah,
I turned my
first
daughter on to
exposure
the
Vargas
Vargas
was
book.
the Cars cover.
Yeah, and because she absolutely loves the pinup stuff.
Okay, so after Vargas, where am I at? Okay, I'm pulling a Billy here. I'm
I
like,
know you're pulling at me.
wait, I got to find it. Hang on a second. Hang on a second.
I don't know if you did the same thing, Lefty, but I pulled up like 15 illustrators because I'm like, these guys are gonna pick him. They're gonna pick her. They're gonna pick this. They're gonna pick that. So I was searching through it.
No, I went obscure. Well, not obscure, but I went a little bit off the beaten path because I figured some of the, I knew Parrish was get picked, and I knew that Leyendecker would. This is Hayden Sunbloom. Now, this guy his stuff was awesome. You don't talk about kind of like big brush strokes and just knowing where to lay down the paint, Of course, I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think he created this modern version of Santa Claus. That we know and love was created by Sunbloom when he was first doing his Coca-Cola ads. That he came up with this look for Santa Claus that's sort of become part of American culture.
Well, look at how Santa's popping from that background. That clock is almost non-existent, and then the lights just picking up on those kids' faces, but nowhere else. I mean, and then there's the fireplace side, and then of course the Coca-Cola bottle. So it's definitely leading your eye towards like Santa's face and the Coca-Cola bottle.
Now, he also had a studio. And I know Gil Elvgren was in his studio before he branched off and did his own thing. And I think there was a couple other really famous illustrators that were in his studio back in the day, in the 40s or whatever, 30s or 40s.
I'm a huge Gil Elvgren fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love his stuff.
Yeah.
I like him more than Vargas, in fact.
Me too.
Yeah, he's
I do too.
an artist by far.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Okay, so take a look then at this. In a second here, as soon as I figure this out. Okay. Now this is, you have to go through all these steps to share your screen. It ticks me off. Okay. Boom. Okay.
Sure, just minimize it.
Yeah, I should have brought them all open at once and just had them all.
Wow, look at this.
This is Hayden Sunbloom as well. Isn't that a great piece?
Wow.
I love the watercolor in the dress.
I would put that in my house, that painting.
I know, it's beautiful. And it's an Anheuser-Busch ad. Can you believe that?
Wow. Where's the beer?
I thought he was asking,
I don't know.
how's your bush?
There must have been some type or something that was over the top of it. This is just the illustration.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing that. And are you guys familiar with Illustrator magazine?
Yeah.
Okay. This is in. It actually has a Leyendecker cover, but there's a section on Sunbloom in there, and it has this piece in it. And I remember seeing the ad for the Illustrator magazine, and they kind of used this piece as an ad for it. And I was like, man, I was just blown away. And so I had to get it. And just look at how bold those dress, the strokes on her dress are.
Oh yeah, the wrinkles are fantastic.
It works though. It's just, God, I just love that stuff. How you can be that bold and that broad with your strokes and have it yet come together to make, make the image work, and you believe that those are wrinkles on a dress, or it's just incredible. All right, so I got one more guy I want to share, and I got to open this up again. Okay.
It's amazing to think of that as commercial art. Like even Norman
I know.
Rockwell, like you look and you go like, he was a commercial artist, and you're like, what?
I know. It's like you can't even go to school and learn that stuff anymore. That's the thing that really is depressing. But okay.
Well, you think about it.
Flag.
Now, he was pals with Godwin. That's something I picked up in my research about Godwin. They were buddies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you guys probably know this, but this was not a World War II poster, but a World War I poster.
Yeah.
And of course, Flagg used himself as the model for Uncle Sam. And this is our, I believe, this is the creation of the modern concept of what Uncle Sam looked like was Flagg did this.
Yeah.
And I've been, even when I was a little kid, I was always just enamored with the 1940s war comics, you know, the Uncle Sam stuff that Quality Comics was producing.
Mhm.
And so I saw this image and I was just, you know, who's this guy, you know? And I went and found out that this was Montgomery Flagg. But the other interesting thing about Flagg is,
Look at those eyes.
yeah, I mean, he looked that way too. There's this piercing, he almost was menacing looking, you know.
The intensity of those eyes are.
Well, also that painting looks like he was still drawing as he was painting, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you can see some of it in there. Like you can see the process.
Okay, now check this out. This is Flagg as well. But he did a lot of this line work, and I don't know. Doesn't that look like brush to you guys? Or
that looks like Dana Gibson to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's pen.
It's
Pin.
It's blurry. It's hard to see.
I would say pen as well. Just
yeah,
the strokes in the shadow.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, if you look at the floor, you can really see it.
yeah.
I'd say it's a gelatinib as well, because that was really popular back then.
Throw down a lot of ink. I like the gelates.
You like them gelat?
You like it?
I like
Gelat.
Look back here at these those feather lines, or the lines in the leaf back there are rounded, like he did it with a pen really quickly. So it's just that they were so loose that I thought, God, I wonder if he did that with a brush. But I can tell by looking at it now that it's pen. But he did some really tremendous black and white stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you think about him as, you know, the World War, Uncle Sam poster, World War I poster, but he did a ton of, like, I assume this is magazine illustration that was in this vein, probably more than his paintings.
We should do a show on like illustrators that work in pen and ink or have worked in pen and ink, because there's some fantastic stuff. And you talk about a lost art form.
Right. Well,
Oh,
I was surprised I didn't see anybody bring up Booth or Joseph Clement Cole. Those are guys I stayed away from because I figured they were too obvious and no one grabbed them. So
I'm surprised nobody brought up Albert Dorn.
These are my entire list has those guys: Robert Fawcett, Austin Briggs.
okay.
Oh yeah.
You know, Winslow Homer.
I love Winslow Homer.
Yeah.
Yep.
But we should have a maybe everyone has a honorable mention or something little, you know. I mean, we've been mentioning them. But
I have one. Yeah.
Go for it. What was it, Art?
It would be Alphonse Mucha.
oh yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Either.
Damn, dude,
He's a little influential.
just a tiny bit.
Just a tiny bit.
Just a wee bit.
Yeah.
A wee bit.
Well,
There's so many. There's so many. I mean, the fantastic thing about drawing is it's a journey. You're never going to get to the destination. So there's so many different facets of it. I feel like, you know, like this show is actually got me going because I'm going to start looking back at that stuff. I have inspiration again. So there's so much stuff out there to find and to gather and to get inspiration from. And it's endless. There's so many great artists that have worked in this, you know, in illustration, in comics, and I don't know if you guys remember this, but like when I broke in to comics, they called it illustration.
Yeah.
They were like, "You're an illustrator."
Well, you know, it's funny. I had a conversation with Michael Golden, and he talking about his Bucky O'Hare stuff, and I used the word, you know, cartoony to describe his style, and boy, did he get pissed.
Oh, really?
He was like, this is not cartoony. This is an illustrated book, and this is the style in which I'm doing the illustrations. And I went, I'm sorry, I didn't mean any offense.
Holy shit! How many people do you piss off?
I piss off everyone.
Some people they think of cartooning as not serious, you know, like it's a kid's thing to do.
Well,
but I think cartooning is where the life is, you know?
Well, but the thing is, cartooning really, if you think about it, if you want to define it, cartooning is really what you see in newspaper strips or gag strips. That was usually because there's a lot broader stylistic approaches to cartooning. It can be very, very simplistic, or it can be like Calvin and Hobbes. And I've always looked at comic book work for the most part as more sort of an offshoot of illustration than I did of cartooning, but just because of the complexity of it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
You know
Then
what?
it depends on the artist
I
himself.
thought the same thing, Aaron, for years, for like half of my career. And then when I had that little faux pas with Marvel, I started working more in cartooning, like for Warner Brothers, different animation, and I really started studying that. And then I realized how much of what we do, like comic books, is cartooning, and how little of an education I had in that. So chrono mechanics came out of all of that stuff. So I was like, because I was very, illustrative, like background, like all my education, my schooling was, illustration. And then at some point you realize that there's no jobs in illustration, like
it doesn't exist anymore.
dead
But
right
would you
now.
would you consider what you're doing more animation style rather than cartooning? Because there's a separation there too,
Yeah.
I think.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think
animation,
the good comic book
Disney-
artists are a good combination of both, because there's the exaggeration, but then there's, you could put a realistic like window dressing over those exaggerations, which what most people do. So a lot of the stuff that we draw in comic books is like these poses and these proportions. They don't exist in real life. I mean, they are kind of cartooning.
Yeah.
Graham, I know you have thoughts on this. Jump in here. I know you have
Yeah,
thoughts.
I think cartooning is the distillation of illustration, because you're breaking it down into its simplest, most impactful form, and that's why I've always gravitated towards the cartoonists as opposed to the illustrators, because they can hide a lot of sins in their technique and stuff. Whereas when you break stuff down into cartooning, it's right there in front of you. If it's either going to work or it's not going to work. You talked about Michael Golden, and I had said to him that his stuff on the Nam, and he was the modern day Roy Crane, because he did these cartoony figures, and I use the word cartoony, and he said, but you had your hardware and everything was realistically illustrated.
Yeah.
And he took that as the highest compliment. He said, wow, that's really incredible.
Well, it's because he likes
like
you,
an Art
he doesn't
Adams,
like Aaron.
like what Art Adams does is it's a really cartoony, exaggerated, but it's very like realistic. Like it's very, I guess,
it's rendered.
Classic ink, rendering.
Yeah, it's rendered. Yeah. Well, when art came up, it was still flat color, so he was doing kind of a modern day, in a way, Kubert with the rendering to show the tonal work in the black and white line art.
Right. Yeah. But it's like what Crane told Alex Toth when he was a kid, and Alex Toth had wrote Crane and sent him his drawings, and he told Toth that take everything out of your drawing that doesn't tell the story, and with what's left, draw the hell out of it. And I think that's the real definition of comic book art when it's done right is that, and that's the hardest thing. You can put, George Perez puts everything in the kitchen sink into it, and it just looks like it's completely cold to me. It doesn't draw me in at all. But you have Alex Toth or somebody that does, uses the thirds rule and uses negative space to focus my eye on something. All of a sudden, bam, I'm right in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike Mignola.
Yeah, Mignola, definitely. Yep.
Kubert. It was a master.
Well, Russ Heath. I think Russ Heath falls into that.
Yeah.
You look at Darwin Cook.
Darwin, another good one. Yeah. He distills
wow.
everything down to the impact lines, everything that he needs to tell the story dynamically.
And you got to have a lot of faith in your ability to do that, right? Because I want to be like that, and I love cartoonists. I love Graham as the special guest villain, Graham Nolan as the cartoonist. But when people ask me what I do for a living, I'm like, I'm a cartoonist.
Yeah, that's what I tell people.
I want to be a cartoonist so bad. I love simple breaking it down, and I always just get, I don't know if it's just insecurity or whatever. I just end up sitting there and I love my rough so much more than my finished work.
I think it's what you're used to. The interesting thing about style, especially in comic book work, is that we sort of, whoever our influences are, right, sort of gauge the direction we start in. And if, like me, my influences were 70s illustrative comic artists like Wrightson and Barry Smith and guys like that. Used a lot of line work. And so when you start incorporating that you get that in your mind to say, okay, that's what looks good, right? So then you do that. And so in order to move away from that and do a more open style or a more cartoony style, you have to retrain your mind as to what looks good and what you expect to look good. Because I can look at somebody else's stuff and say, that looks really cool. I like that. Like art stuff I love. And in his chrono mechanic, I really do. I'm not just saying that. I really do love it. But I can't do that. Every time I try to do that, it looks unfinished to me. Or it doesn't, because my mind is not trained to see my artwork in that way, as being complete. I have to put the lines in, or I have to put the shading in, and then it looks complete to me. And so it requires this whole retraining of your mind on your own style to be able to move away from, from one area, like you and I are, say, doing a lot of illustrative work or shading or whatever you want to call it, line work, and move into something that's much more open, like say maybe what Graham's doing, or Mignola is an extreme case, because you can look at that and say, God, that's brilliant. And then you try to do it and you go, God, this sucks. I have no idea what I'm doing. And it just it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, but Aaron, you've been
Could you share my page, Aaron? Could you share my thing?
Oh,
I just want to show you something, a page I just finished. It's completely off, completely different than a lot of my other stuff, but I'm playing with.
Dude, that horse in that second panel gives me such a Disney vibe. I love the expression on that horse's face.
I love the no tan
panel is great.
That horizontal panel is brilliant.
Oh yeah, that's
dude.
So this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about, where you don't need a ton of shit, but you just got to focus the reader's eye. That's the essence of cartooning. But this background will be a starry sky, and this silhouette will pop. Right. I love this panel here, where the horse and him and the dog are climbing up the cliff, or whatever you want to call it.
Well, the genius of that panel, Graham, is how you cropped that panel. I mean, the cropping is pretty right on, and you talk about like just showing what you need to show. I mean, that's one of those examples. The dogs in the shot, the cliffs in the shot. You can tell the horses, it's starting to book it. It's starting to be a little laborsome. The guy's kind of hunkered down. There's some movement going. He's not exactly, he's up off the saddle. I mean, it's good stuff, man.
Yeah, it's great.
Graham, when Gray colors this stuff, I know you mentioned you're doing like the gray tones as guide. So is he going to take the grays out? Or is he going to tint over top?
I don't know how he'll do it, but like when he puts the shadow on here, the color, whether he decides, let's say he wants to use a cool color for the shadow, he'll have this as his
he froze.
Line of where the shadow's got to go.
Right. Got it. That's cool.
Yeah. And then like on the rocks, there's texture. I use some texture brushes that he can lift, because it's on a layer, and he can make that texture a color, Yeah,
and I love the black border too. The black border.
Yeah, it wasn't originally, and I had to put the black in so that it would pop better.
Success.
I know I said earlier, like on a EVS stream, Graham, but I love Alex Toth, and I think like on some level you're kind of channeling some Alex Toth here, and my hat's off to you, because I think it was like Aaron was saying, just to have, like, for me to have the balls to like just streamline it down to just the essentials, kind of like what he did. I think is pretty amazing. Yeah.
When you're doing it for yourself, like I've got so much more confidence. Like if I was doing this 5-10 years ago for Marvel or DC, I never would have done it. I never would have had the balls to do it. But I'm doing it for Compass Comics, and I own the company. So
that's right.
I'm right, bro. It's on your damn Jeep.
Yeah.
So, Graham's gonna fire himself if he doesn't like it.
Yeah. My boss is a dick.
Dick, yes. Hey, Lefty, you've been saying about the simplifying your artwork and stuff, and that you feel very uncomfortable. It doesn't feel finished. Those commissions you've been posting, your full color commissions, are stunning.
Oh,
and they look that they look like you're not sitting there and spending all this, you know what I mean?
I'm doing
You're being very economical with your
yeah,
and it works.
The actual drawing itself would look like a coloring book drawing because I'm doing everything with the color.
Right.
Doing all the shading and the tonal work and the getting the 3-dimensional quality with the color. So it's, yeah, I mean, I would approach a painting obviously differently than I would do comic book work in terms. I appreciate you saying that though, Billy.
It's gorgeous. I love them. I love them.
Well, look at the drawing behind you, Aaron. The girl, the space girl.
Yes,
that's behind you right now. I love the simplicity of that. The black background, how she just pops right forward.
Thank you. You know, the interesting thing is I've never drawn a lot of line work when I draw women because I feel it's distracting and it goes against the form, and the dog is driving me crazy barking outside, but I apologize. But when I draw, like, it's different. When I draw a monster like Garbage Man, the detail's all over the place, right?
So that's what I was going to, that was the note that I was going to say with what Billy was saying. A lot of the stuff you've been posting has been, you know, women. And I've always noticed that your women are a lot more simpler for that same reason.
Yeah.
You don't want to junk up women because it can add age to them if you don't do it right. But when you do like Garbage Man or even superhero, you know, male superheroes, you do get in there with the, you know, the more rendering and stuff.
Well,
but
Garbage
it
Man,
worked.
Aaron is definitely channeling some was it Bernie Wrightson?
Oh yeah. I mean, Wrightson comes out when I draw monsters. You can see the Wrightson influence. When I don't, it's not there at all. But when I do monsters, it's clear that it's.
You know
there.
My favorite thing, Aaron, that you do, since we're all like gushing all over Aaron right now.
What's his channel?
Well, he's the host. We got to do that.
That's right.
Yeah, it's your fantasy stuff, like your sci-fi kind of action adventure fantasy, like your John Carter drawings and things like that. I think that, like, and like Kit Carson, that kind of stuff, I absolutely love. You know, it's funny because I think Graham and I were talking about like just the comic book thing. You know, we've done that, and all the stuff we're doing independently is kind of like superhero kind of comic book, like mainstream Marvel, DC. So you know, so each one of us are doing something that's outside of that. And that's my favorite stuff that you do. It's kind of like a John Buscema. Like, I thought John did superheroes pretty good, but Savage Sword Conan and all his fantasy stuff was freaking brilliant. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel that same way with you, Aaron. Like, that's like where you excel.
Well, thank you. And I would say that I've always felt like the fantasy stuff takes me back to my Frazetta roots and all that kind of stuff, where it feels more like illustration, you know, where superhero stuff to me never did. And so it's just like, it's just a different thing. I approach it differently, you know, because I want it to look different, because it should look different, because it is different, you know. But again, it's weird when I'm doing a comic book or superhero story, there's a certain look that you think, okay, that looks good, or that's how this should look. And then you're doing something like John Carter or Tarzan or whatever, and it doesn't look that, you don't want it to look the same. It's different, right? And so those kind of things, whether it's inconsistency on my part or just having different visions for different things, that's sort of what brings out different things in me, because I have different viewpoints on what these things should look like and how they should.
That's what I want to see you do independently. You know, like that's the Aaron Lopresti I want to see come out, you know, in your indie work is that stuff. Because I love your superhero stuff, don't get me wrong, but man, that other stuff, like your Tarzan, your John Carter stuff, it's just freaking amazing. Your Kit Carson.
That's why I'm doing that Western comic, is because I want to challenge myself to do something that's gonna take me in a different direction. And so I am kind of excited about doing that, because you do get into a mode where you do the same thing because you figure that's what's expected. And it's like Graham said, if he did this story for Marvel, you wouldn't draw it the same way you just did it. Because there's a certain expectation from Marvel of how they want their stuff to look.
Right.
And I think and this is kind of an indictment on comics in general, is that we all sit here and preach how important storytelling is, and clarity, and all these things that are important. And yet the only thing that's rewarded in comics is visceral impact and style. They don't give a rip about
style first.
Huh?
I said style first.
Yeah, style
Yeah,
first,
yeah.
and over content. And yet, when someone's reading a book, it's the storytelling that draws them in, makes it a successful read, more so than how many lines you rendered something with.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
When I broke into business, it was never about that. It was like, can you tell a story? It was always,
Yeah.
can you tell a story? And that was the bottom line.
Yeah.
And can you do it on a monthly basis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how, when I broke into business, I remember talking to editors, and they, the covers that come out today that are just like pinup type stuff, that was so not the way back then. Back then it was, no, the cover's got to tell the story and draw the reader in. We don't want to see a pinup on a cover,
Yeah, now that's all they are. All the
right.
covers are just
That's all they
pinup.
are.
They're all what they used to call evergreen covers.
Right.
You can stick them on anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting because I think we talked about this before on one of the other feeds, that they're just, and Art had mentioned it earlier in this one, is that there is no outlet for illustration anymore, right? So all the people that wanted to be illustrators or are illustrators went into comics. So now you have all this beautiful rendering and stuff going on, but you don't really have dynamic comics anymore, which was the thing that made comics great and drew me in as a kid.
Right.
Like, we picked our favorite covers, that Hulk versus Thing cover. There's not a lot of detail on that cover, but boy, do you want to pick that up and read it.
Powerful.
Yeah. And you look at the covers today, and there's some masterful illustration being done on covers, but they're not dynamic. They're not interesting beyond the fact that they're well drawn.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
There's nothing in there that says, wow, this tells me a lot about the story. I got to pick this up. Thor is going to die in this issue, or, how are they going to get out of this mess? That's not on the covers anymore. It's just this good illustration. We all go, oh, that's just
the illustrators. Some of the stuff that we were talking about, like, your Norman Rockwell's and that a Coca-Cola ad that you put up, there was storytelling. Illustrators, but that was still storytelling. Like, those guys were selling something. They were conveying a point, a feeling, an emotion. And those guys, the good ones, were also, they could render the shit out of things, but they were great storytellers as well.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
Look at the great pulp painters. I mean, they were trying to sell these things, right and left, and they had these lurid concepts and stuff. But they had these covers that, even if the story wasn't quite what was on the cover, it got you to buy it. Guys like George Rosen and Baumhofer and Kunstler, these guys used to just do incredible concepts and ideas of drama and melodrama on their covers. And it's those things you can't not buy it. It almost dares you not to buy it.
Yeah.
I saw an Earl Norm cover in a Conan group today, and it was Conan was fighting and these like vampire like creatures and stuff, and then he had this girl, and she was kind of fighting too, had a knife, and then the title on it was like Conan battles the city of vampires or something like that. It's like, take my $1. how do I not buy this comic? It's got this painted cover with this beautiful girl and these monsters and Conan fighting for his life. I got to see how it ends,
Yeah.
Well, and even we talked about Bama's Doc Savage covers, and they talk about just stoic images of a character, but they were always integrated into there was a background element or something that told you what the story was, or at least intrigued you into getting it, the feathered octopus, or, the Devil's Genghis we looked at, that wasn't Bama, but, he's got the syringe in his hand. You got this like Genghis Khan figure behind him, and you're like,
right.
You don't know what's going on, but it's telling you, it's giving you a sense of drama and characters that are in the book on a very simple cover design.
Yeah. It's enticing.
Yes.
I love that, Dan.
The art of the cover, where are the Gil Kanes and the Mike Zecks,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The Nick Cardys.
Nick
Cardy.
Nick Cardy.
Ed Hannigan could draw up a cover too.
Oh yeah, Ed Hannigan had great design sense.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes Golden's covers so impactful too. Is they're not only interesting and usually in his layouts, but there's just so much energy and there's so much just power to the stuff that even if it's just the Punisher shooting bullets at you, you're like, God, there's so much energy on that. I just, you think if the comic inside has got this much energy, then you got my money.
I love that Batman, the Batman falling down the stairwell.
Yeah.
That one, fuck, man. Just
And
the
the
shadow
color.
on the wall, the color, everything. It makes you go, what's going on?
Yeah.
Michael colored that too.
Yeah. You always had those just kind of bright colors banging up against each other. And you're just like, it's just like jumped. I mean, that's the thing. Your cover needs to jump off the stand, especially when there's like hundreds of them out there anymore. And they just all blend together anymore. You just can't.
Well, there's a few guys. I think Adam Hughes stands out.
Yes.
You see that, and the only thing that sucks that his art's not inside.
Yeah,
right.
But I mean,
Adam he does it so well. He's so far above most of us in terms of his ability and most of his cover designs are very simple but well executed.
Yeah.
And so that makes you pick it up. But for us normal people doing normal comic book stuff.
Well, Adam is definitely channeling like classic illustrators these days. I mean, there's still the comic book roots that you can see in there, but he's definitely channeling illustrators.
Mm-hmm.
But he's still telling a story. He still knows what he's doing.
That's where the comic book illustrator comes in play. But then there's that that more classic illustration that he's bringing into the work, and it's a great combination of the two.
Yeah, you see his cover run book is astonishing.
Yes.
I mean, he's just got so much life to it, and they're whimsy, and he's just unbelievable, brilliant. It's a privilege to be in the same business with someone like that.
Yep.
As it is with you chaps.
Yes. Well, we're a privileged few.
Yeah, that's right.
The few, the proud.
Maybe we should do that. For one of the next professionals who are coming up, is we should talk about our peers that we like their covers and stuff. Maybe we because there's some really terrific.
Let's talk about the ones we don't like.
Let's do that. That's when we do our cigar night. We talk about the ones we don't want, and
that'll get us more views if we talk about the ones we don't.
You're right. Yeah, we
exactly. We got to get those numbers up.
That's right.
That's
right. Hey, speaking of which, as we wrap this thing up, I want to let everybody know in the that's watching us, or will watch this later, that every single one of these gentlemen you see on the screen right now has their own YouTube channel, and would really be grateful if you would swing by and subscribe to it and check out their content, because it's all really, really good stuff. So I wanted to make sure I got that plug in before I forget, So
thank you.
And don't forget that our Professionals is a rotating show. It's on Aaron's channel now. It was on my channel last week. Who gets it next week? Art? Okay, it'll be on Art's channel.
Andy.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to. So go to Art, and then I'll do it. I know I can do the week after. No problem. Next week's a little iffy.
All right.
So I don't want to say it and then not be able to come through.
So maybe you and Dan can switch then. So Dan can go next week. And
I was used to being the last in the rotation, but I can do it.
Dan, you do it next week, and I can easily do the week after that. No problem. I know I'm good for that.
I'll come up with a topic. I'll come up with.
So the point was, make sure you subscribe to all the channels so you get those notifications, so you don't miss any of the Professionals.
That's right.
Amen.
Yes. And also be aware that let's see, everybody has something on Indiegogo right now, don't they? Except me. Andy, you've got First Man in Demand.
First Man's in demand, and the books are shipping. So if you place an order, it's going out next week. And
Graham, you've got, of course, Alien Alamo, which we just saw a page from that is in demand on Indiegogo.
Mm-hmm.
Billy, what have you got?
Yep, we got Shi Haikyo, which is we're almost done packing up all our stretch goals. It's like 2,600 of them. Thank you, everybody out there. And we start fulfilling this weekend all the black and white books. So the black and white books are all in. Our color books, if they haven't shipped already, they'll be shipping next week. It looks like. So we set our date for April, and we're fulfilling all throughout April. Yeah, to March actually. We're actually early, which is kind of cool.
Wow, good, excellent.
All right, and I got my brothers coming, Graham. I got Rock and Damo coming down. Our boys, our cigar Cigar Brothers from
Nice.
Sun, and they're just going to tear into them stretch goals. We're going to finish them up and start packing some of our. I know Dan, you ordered one of the rough cuts.
I did.
So that'll be going out next week, bro.
I ordered
gotta-
one of those
I gotta
bad
see my-
boys as well.
Raw
And,
Rough cut stuff.
Mr. T Bear, you've got Chrono Mechanics in demand right now. Is that
Yes,
true?
Chrono Mechanics, and Aaron, you're gonna love this. I had a couple people contact me, and they wanted to buy the Superstar collection, but it sells as 4, like all 4 of the variants of,
Nice.
of each individual character. They sell as 1 tier. So what I'm doing now is, if you want an individual book, you can get it. So I had 2 orders today for just the Zen cover that you did for us. So your cover is one of the more popular, I must say. So if you guys want an individual cover, just order the normal book, and then just let us know in the notes whichever of the variants that you want, and then we'll make sure you get those. Because now we can do more of like we can tailor things to the individual, since we're not in the main live campaign. So we had a handful of orders today, and those will go out probably tomorrow. So the Chrono Mechanics book is done, people. So if you order one today, within the next couple of days, they will go out, and you'll probably get those within the week, depending on where you live. So thank you, Aaron, for hosting, and thanks for giving me that opportunity to, promote Chrono.
Okay, Fragaboom, I know you got something, don't you?
Yeah, got Black Flag. It's in demand right now. Still plugging away on it. A little slower than I'd like, but taking on a lot of tasks at the same time. Very excited about the book. It's a project of my dreams, and one of the things that I'm finding to be quite beneficial is watching this show, watching Graham's show. I'm learning and taking on a lot of new influences, which is affecting the book. So I'm grateful for that. So if anybody wants to check out the book, Pure 90s Comic Experience, it's Black Flag. It's on Indiegogo in demand.
Nice.
And here's a nice little note from David Williams to Graham there.
Really, that almost should be a movie.
There you
Right.
go.
Amen.
No argument.
Who am I to argue with that?
Well,
Hey,
see,
Graham, have you picked up yourself like another Winchester, like one you can actually shoot? Because I don't know if you want to shoot your Chuck Connor signed rifle. You get a nice lever action, Winchester 73.
Well, I can shoot mine. I can shoot mine.
You do. Look at you shooting it. You don't care.
Yeah, no. Chuck would want me to shoot it.
Yeah, he
That's
would.
right. There you go.
Yeah, he would.
That's
You're
what's
right.
up. That's what's up right there.
That's what's up.
There you go.
I'll tell you what I
That's
won't do is I won't go like that and cock it like he does in the opening of the show.
Oh,
Because his arms are so damn long, that gun would come around and smack me right in the nose.
either that or you shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah, that's true.
all right. Hey, guys, thank you all for coming in tonight. This was a lot of fun, as it always is every week. And and everybody that's in the message board and watching us right now, thanks for coming in and joining us. We couldn't do it without your support, and we really appreciate it. And make sure you come and join us again next Thursday with the next episode of Brofessionals, which it looks like Dan Fragaboom, the man with the big stones, is going to be hosting.
They're gone.
So,
They're out of
that's
me.
exciting.
They're out of me. The stones.
Yeah,
are
you got them in
out.
a bag, though. You got them in a bag.
I have them in a cup right there to remind me to drink water.
That's right.
A crystal meth thing out of that. Can you smoke them things or like
I don't
whatever?
want. Nah. I might make an anklet or a bracelet out of it.
Boil them up?
Because they're that big.
Yeah,
like a
I
Flintstone.
nicknamed that jar Barney Rubble.
Yeah, the Flintstones.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Hey, thanks again, and we'll see all of you next time. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for coming in.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.